Hi there folks, I'm on Reddit tonight and I've come across an interesting challenge. So the individual would like to pick someone at random based on the people that have interacted with the message. So we get those likes, those love hearts, and based on those individuals that have interacted with that message, they would then like to pick someone at random. So the reason I've done a video on this is I thought it was quite an interesting challenge, but it also uses a trigger that I don't often use, which is for a selected message. But also there's quite interesting arrays and objects in the data that's returned from the particular action I'm going to use, and the expression is quite complex as well. But the overall solution is quite neat and compact, and I thought was worth sharing with y'all. So I'm going to kick things off from teams. So jumping across onto my team, you can see that I have a message, in fact a wee message for people to vote on. If I pop open a couple of browser sessions here, we see that we've got Dave on the left hand side and I've got Henrietta on the right. And I would like to get Dave to go and interact with that message. He's going to like it, and we'll get Henrietta to do the same, albeit I'm going to use a love heart from Henrietta. Jumping back onto teams as myself, you can see now we have those two interactions, those two likes, and also that one love heart from Henrietta. And next we're going to jump on to Power Automate. So with Power Automate, I'm using the trigger for a selected message, and then my next step is to be based on the get message details. And so that'll allow us to return quite an interesting array of data based on the message ID that we get from the trigger. The message type is a channel, and that will then allow us to select both the team, which in this case is my development team, and my channel, which is just the basic general channel. So I'll go ahead and save that, and then we'll go ahead and trigger it from teams. So jumping back into teams, we have these three dots, the ellipses. If I click on them and go down to more actions, you'll see I have my flow, which I called select random user. So if I select that, it will now trigger my flow, as we can see on screen here. And then if I jump back onto Power Automate, and I'm going to go back into the history, you'll see that I've done some testing, but I'm going to look at the most recent run in the last 8 seconds. And then we'll pop open the action for get message details. So if we look at the raw output, and so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use Control A, Control C to copy all that message output, and then I'm going to paste it into a JSON beautifier, and that'll then allow me to look at the structure. So I'm going to minimize this headers object, and then we're going to look at the body object. And as I scroll down, I can see, hopefully, we have a reactions array. So that reactions array is based on the path body followed by reactions. And because it's in square brackets, I know it's an array. Then we've got 3 objects, and each of those objects are user objects. So we can see a GUID that I'm just highlighting on here, another GUID for another user, and then finally the third GUID, because of course I had 3 different interactions there. If I also have a look at the reaction type, we can see the last was a heart, and then the first and the second were both likes. So first off, what we want to do is we want to get access to this reactions array, and I know the path of that is body reactions. So if I jump back onto Power Automate and go into Edit, I now insert my favorite action, the select. And with that, we need to start typing in our own expressions, because I know from exploring the dynamic content in here, there is nothing based on that path that we saw when we looked in the beautifier. So into expression, I need to put in a space and then back into dynamic content, and I want to pick out the body. Jumping back onto that JSON beautifier, body is going to take me to this path here, but I want to get to the array, which is called reactions. So if I jump back onto Power Automate, I can put in place here a / and reactions and hit OK. That'll allow the select action to now pull data or objects from that reactions array. Now the next thing I want to get is the GUID of the users. So if I put this into text mode, again into the map and select the expression, I want to type in item, open close brackets with a question mark, some square brackets and some single quotes. And again, if we jump back onto that beautifier, we can have a look at the path. So within the reactions, we get user, then there is another user object, and then there is an ID key with the value of the GUID. So the path is actually user, user, and ID. Jumping back into Power Automate, all we've got to do is type in user/user/ID, and now that'll give us an array of all those GUIDs for those users. Now the challenge, of course, is to go and select one of these users at random. So if I use the action get user profile we have here, it requires an ID. We've currently got 3 IDs in here. And with the expression, I can choose a random number from 0 to the length of that array above. So I put in length with open close brackets, back into dynamic content, and I can choose the output select. And that'll choose a random number from 0 to the number 3. Now at this point, you're probably wondering, what on earth am I doing? Well, we're selecting a random number from 0 to 3. But we're taking advantage of the fact that we can select items or objects from within an array based on an integer. So the first object or value within an array is based on integer 0, the second is integer 1, the third is integer 2. Now of course we've got 3 in that select. Currently we're creating a random number from 0 to 3 when in fact it should be 0 to 2 because 0, 1, 2. So I'm also going to include a subtraction here and take away 1 from the length. So I'll put in place that there, and now we've got a random number from 0 all the way to 2, 0, 1, 2. Now with that random number, I want to then be able to select a value from that select above, and I'm going to insert that expression for the select. So body of select, I'll put in a question mark, put in a square bracket here, and go right to the end of the expression and put a closing square bracket. And so using that random, we'll now be able to choose a number randomly between 0 and 2, and then obtain one of those 3 different GUIDs and retrieve the user profile. With that user profile now retrieved, we could simply reply back to that message in Teams with the random user that has been selected. We can choose the reply to a message in a channel, posting as a flowbot, posting into a channel. Again, I'll go ahead and insert the dynamic value for the message ID for the selected message. The team, of course, is based on that development, and the channel will be my general channel. And we can say congrats. We can choose the individual's display name here, and then we can say you have been chosen at random. Now if we save that, we can jump back across onto our team and we can test out our flow. So back in Teams, again, if I select that ellipsis, I'll go into more actions, I'll select a random user, that'll trigger our flow, it'll work the magic, and it'll select someone at random. In this case, it's chosen Dave. Now, of course, I can run this flow again and again and again. I'll go and choose another random user. We'll see who we get this time around. Dave again. Let's see what we get the third time on the random users. Dave. This is really quite random. Let's go and try another one. We'll go and select another random user. Damerbird365 this time. And we'll try and pick one more random user. Let's see what happens this time round. Damerbird365 again. So maybe as the numbers increase, it'll be more random. Back to Dave, poor old Henrietta. Let's try one more time. Still good old Dave. So if we jump across onto flow, we can have a quick look at the history. We've already seen the for selected message and the get message details. But if we look at the select, we can see how it's taken that array of all of those reactions. I've then turned that into an array of those individual GUIDs. You can see there's 3 GUIDs there. I'm using the get user profile to get an individual's profile based on that randomly selected GUID. In this case, it's gone for the one in the middle here. And then if we have a look, we simply reply with the name of that user based on the details that have been retrieved from the action above.